Welcome to On the Rise. I am Evan Murray, and this is awesome. We're here to talk about all the fun facts of Chinese language music.
I think it can.
It's just that, but you have to find that vein. You have to find that genre,
and you have to find people that
care.
That appreciate.
Maybe that's what you have to buy all the marketplaces, like the Korean government did, right? Just buy the world.
Oh, you know about that as well. Like the Korean government, they actually really put a lot of effort into.
Oh, of course they did. Yeah. They bought the whole entire infrastructure of the United States, like all the popular infrastructure.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember the first time I ever saw a Korean boy band was I think it was I don't know, long time ago. And they were actually on the Dick Clark special, where they dropped where the apple drops in New York City. And they usually it's bands or artists like Britney Spears and NSYNC and these really massive American artists. I mean, this was still in that era too of Mariah Carey and stuff like that. And that year, I think it was Mariah Carey, and then they had this boy band from Korea, and I was like, what? What is this? And it was on the New Year special. That was the most watched show in the world at that time, you know? And it just came out of nowhere.
Wow.
And then you started seeing this stuff come out of nowhere. All of a sudden, the South American Music Awards were so many of them were won by Korean artists. And it just emerged.
Yeah, K-pop just
in
emerged.
all the popular media, though. It wasn't there was this guy and he got a hit song and he went viral. No, it was it was an emergence. Yes. So when you see something like that, I was I don't want to take any validity away from the music and how much people love it, or the style and how much people love it. I don't want to take any validity from that, because obviously people buy it. Obviously people love it. Obviously sometimes when you go to Korean restaurants, they'll let you rent out the clothing so you can dress people in Korea when they go to school. And stuff. You know what I mean? It's
school uniform.
Yeah,
Korean school girls.
So the thing is, when you see an emergence like that, that somebody bought that. There's no way that's happening naturally.
Something going on. It's not a natural occurrence.
No, yeah. And I was fortunate enough to meet the people from KOKA, which is the Korean creative content agency, and I was kind of able to talk to them about that too.
So they shared with you all this.
A little bit. I mean, it's not something they like. It's not. I don't think it's something they like to talk about. Okay. but it's there. It's there. What about your favorite artists in the Chinese speaking world?
I like Chen and La Su. So Chen Qizhen and Xu Jiaying. So they're both female singer-songwriters that I think for La Su, she kind of also emerged from a competition, and then now she's she's still maintaining her identity as an artist, singing and performing, but she's writing a lot of songs for other people as well. So I kind of really look up to her, and that's somewhere that I would want to be, still producing and release my stuff, but at the same time be able to have songs that are sold to other artists, and they will want to buy it as well.
Where is she based out of?
La Su. She's based in Taiwan.
Do you know her then? Have you met her?
I've not met her, but I would love to.
Oh, you want to? So this, I don't know if she'll listen to this, but if you're out there, we're looking for you.
We're looking for you.
And you like the model that she's kind of created for her career. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. I like the model that it's not just being a singer and just appearing on stage on the front line. It's also doing all the production and songwriting and just having the skill set to do all that. Because I think that one really goes a long way.
Right.
As compared to, standing.
Yeah, it makes you multidisciplinary. It's more entrepreneurial. It's more, I guess it would be more fulfilling for you as well.
Yeah, it's something that I think keeps the music going on. Because on stage it's about whether the audiences wants you to be on stage and whether they like you. Right. Whether the people that gets you to perform at music festivals want you to be there.
That's when you're the can of Coke.
Yeah.
Right? They're oh, look, that's a can of Coke, you should buy it, right?
Yeah.
But you're also looking for kind of the depth of emotional and intellectual depth that comes with being a songwriter and being an artist per se.
So that's something that I'm working on, and I think being in Taiwan also gave me like some real opportunities to sell songs to. I actually sold a song to this girl called Wu Xuanyi. She's actually from China, and she was part of this girl group called 火箭少女, like rocket girls or something like that.
Okay.
So they were quite big in Taiwan. In China, and then they disbanded. So this girl, she went solo, and I actually managed to sell her a song. Yeah, I think somewhere like earlier this year.
Okay.
Yeah.
And let's talk about memorable experiences. What was your most memorable experience performing in front of a non-Chinese speaking audience?
Oh, so that would have to be during my gigging days in Singapore. Like I used to be singing at bistro bars and restaurants, and I remember having to sing like "Don't Look Back in Anger" 3 times a night.
Oh, Sally can wait.
It's like they really like it. I don't know why. Like
it's a beautiful melody. Like it's like you could almost make it into like elevator music, right? Like do 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 do. Like it's almost like a child melody. Like
they sing along to it. Yeah, people like to just like at the chorus, like you press the mic to them, they're like, "So Sally can't wait."
Right. That'll happen anywhere in the world, I think, right?
Yeah.
It's those simple melodies that really drive people.
Yeah, so I remember having to sing it 3 times a night, and then like at the end, like this really tipsy audience really wanted to come up and like just I wanted to snatch my mic and just sing.
It's like, hey, I want to take over here.
Yeah.
I'm Noel Gallagher or whoever.
Yeah. So that was really memorable.
So have you ever been to Canada?
No, actually, but I would really want to.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's like Singapore, but just like, a million times bigger, I guess. Actually, the currency is like almost exactly the same too.
Oh, really? The currency?
Yeah, the currency is almost exactly the same.
But you guys have like great landscapes, like mountains and like.
We have massive landscapes. Yeah, we do. We have lots of mountains. We have like 3 oceans.
Yeah.
We have lots of stuff. We have prairies and.
You have a lot of natural resources.
We have a lot of natural resources, yeah. But we don't have a lot of sand beaches with palm trees like Singapore does. Right? We don't have a lot of that.
Yeah, but that in Singapore is also kind of like artificial. Like we.
Right. Let's not talk about that.
Okay.
Let's not go there. All right. So what do you know? First of all, like, what do you know about Canada?
So I know about like the great landscapes, like, because I've seen like a lot of documentaries about the forest in Canada and then the mountain range.
I know there's a lot of trees. I know there's a lot of mountains.
But that's a big thing because in Singapore there are no mountains at all, in Singapore.
There's lots of mountains here in Taiwan though.
Yeah, but I think it's a different kind of view, like in Taiwan and
depends where you are, because there's different mountain ranges in Canada. Like there's like if you go into British Columbia, you have like Kananaskis country, which is like a lot of vegetative mountains, like you have in Taiwan.
Okay.
Yeah, like Canada does have the Rocky Mountains as well.
Oh,
so the Rocky Mountains are like literally like really, really gigantic mountains that are just like rock face. Like they're just rock, like they're barren, there's snow on the peaks.
That would be something that Taiwan doesn't really have.
No, Taiwan doesn't have that, and not that I've seen anywhere. But and that's a little bit of a shocking thing when you go into Western Canada and you see that, because they're just so big, they take up the sky, like it's gigantic. Yeah.
So like people in Canada, will they like just want to? Is it a place that Canadians will want to go, or like? It's so common that people just don't really bother.
Well, the thing is, like, outside of Vancouver, they have the mountains too. So, like, where like Jade Music Festival is outside of Vancouver. Vancouver is kind of a beautiful place where it's a mix between ocean and mountain. So we have the mountains there as well.
Oh, nice.
And so you have like skiing. Like a lot of people go to the Whistler.
Oh, for skiing.
Like, there's a place called Whistler just outside of Vancouver. And then in the prairies, we have mountains too. Well, in the western prairies in Alberta, we have a very, very, very famous place called Lake Louise.
Lake Louise.
Yeah, and that's connected to like Banff and Jasper. And that's like really the core of the Rocky Mountains. So it's like they built these little small towns, like in on the foot of the mountains itself. And
Yeah.
you have a lot of wildlife that travels through. Like if you're driving through, Banff or Jasper, like you can see like elk like walking inside of the.
Oh, I saw that
walking
in
the streets.
documentary.
Yeah.
So yes, like great landscapes, and there's 4 seasons. Like
There are 4 seasons.
there are
but yeah,
actual 4 seasons.
There really is 4 seasons in Canada, 100%.
Yeah. In Singapore, there's like only summer, and then in Taiwan, it feels like summer and
Cold.
cold.
Yeah, summer, and when it's like still hot but super humid, and when it's super humid and like 20 degrees, it's actually freezing.
Yeah. Yes. So there isn't like a spring, summer.
Yeah, it's like one day it's just like, oh, you should put on your jacket when you go outside.
Yeah.
And do that for the next 7 months.
Yeah. So that's what's up with Taiwan. And I actually Googled the next one, like milk in bags.
All right, so that's a good one. I think I need to clarify this, and I think I even need to clarify for some English, like a lot of English speaking people too, because this is interesting. So when I was growing up in Western, so I'm from Eastern Canada, but I grew up in Western Canada, and the way that we consumed milk is like we bought bags of it.
Okay.
And then you'd put the bag in a jug, and then you'd snip off the top, and then you'd pour the milk out. So in Western Canada, that ended. They don't do that.
Oh.
That's when I was a little kid. So that's like probably, 30 years ago they stopped that. But in Eastern Canada, like in Ontario, for some reason, they still do that.
Oh.
Where they still serve milk in a bag. And I don't know why, but it's still a thing, So in Western Canada, we drink it out of a jug. And in Eastern Canada, they drink it out of bags and jugs.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I don't know what is up with that, but
is the bag made of like plastic?
yeah, you're not the first person. Well, no, I mean it's not made out of paper, right? So,
Oh yeah, that would not be possible. What am I talking about? Okay.
yeah, it could be made out of petroleum for sure. Do you know anything about the Junos? So talking about Canada, do you know anything about the Junos? Are you familiar with any of the award winners? And if you Googled it, that's not fair. But tell me.
Okay, so I didn't Google it, and I am not sure what that is. So maybe you can share with me what's.
I will.
Junos,
So
yeah.
this is, and this is a good conversation because, in the elevation of the Chinese language music in Canada is that we're trying to bring awareness to the fact that not a lot of people outside of Canada have any idea what the Junos are.
Yeah.
And in Canada, the Junos are the equivalent to the Grammys in the United States.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so it's
an
like
award.
Canada's like most premier award ceremony for art, music.
Okay.
But the thing is, like it's like 90% Anglo, which is English.
Yeah.
And there's like a portion of it which is French.
Okay.
But it's really not significant enough to really notice. And I mean now they have like Indigenous awards attached to that as well.
Oh.
But they don't have anything else. Like Canada is super diversified country. Like it's like I know people from Singapore and Hong Kong are like, oh yeah, where I come from is like a melting pot of culture. But it's like, like Canada is like literally like you can be in different cities in Canada and you're not really sure, if you're basing countries on race, you wouldn't know where you are. There's it's really multicultural, like super multicultural.
Like everywhere, like
everywhere.
And
Well,
it's too big.
If you go to like the east of Canada, where like the economy is not so much as it's not so much developed, I don't think you're going to run into that much diversity as you will in like central Canada or Western Canada, where the economy is much more developed. Like, I mean, if you're in Eastern Canada, like maybe you're doctor or your lawyer or like if there's some kind of plant where there's like engineers there, like then you'll have like like Asian people there, but not so much because like the Eastern Canada is kind of stricken by poverty, right? A little bit, in certain places. But like Toronto, Montreal, Vancouver, Calgary, like all of these major centers, like it's super multicultural.
Oh.
And then you also have the Canadian Indigenous people as well that make up a large percentage.
So the Canadian Indigenous people, are they like in Taiwan they have the Indigenous people as well?
Yeah,
So
yeah, absolutely.
is it something like
of course, yeah. They are the original people.
Oh.
So they're the people that were the hunter gatherers and you know, I mean, there's so many famous books and movies.
Yeah.
Like
Okay.
they wore the big headdress. Well, the chiefs wore the big headdresses.
Oh, okay. So those are the Canadian.
Yeah, like the
indigenous
warriors,
peoples.
like they had the face paint.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I see.
Yeah,
And then
very
so
much
you would sing Junos is something like so in Taiwan it would be like the Golden Melody Award.
Exactly.
Oh, okay.
Exactly.
So GMA.
Yeah, it's the equivalent to the Grammys in the United States and the Golden Melody Awards in Taiwan.
I see.
But the thing is that the Junos are not, let's say, heavily diversified, right?
Okay.
Not that the Golden Melody Awards are, not that the Grammys are, but Canada has they're such at the forefront of the humanitarians and social, you know, like this whole entire social justice, right? Where like, it's not that people should ever be asking to have a place. It's that people should have been given a place. You know, they should have been given this because it's there.
Yeah.
And if it can support it, there's the people to support the economic growth of it. Why isn't it happening? Like, why isn't the government investing in that?
Yeah.
So the thing is, like, looking at the Junos, it's a little bit of it's a little confusing, you know, because it is just purely, well, again, there is a francophone aspect, there is a French aspect, but it's just, you know, it's purely Anglo based, so that's kind of interesting.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I should go check it out. Like I have never heard of it.
Well, I mean, like, you know, I mean,
award winners.
you've heard of Celine Dion and
Yeah,
Bryan
yeah,
Adams
yeah.
and
Celine Dion.
yeah, these kind of people.
Oh, I surrender. Okay.
Do you know, what else do you know? Let's talk about what else you know. Why did you choose to be a musician? Why? What happened?
I think everyone says this. Like I just started loving to sing and you know hearing my own voice. And
Right.
just I like
That's a good reason.
you know, to hear your own voice.
Mental masturbation, right?
I never thought of that.
My band teacher when I was a kid, sorry, I just,
Yeah,
little
no
anecdote
problem.
here. When I was a kid, we had to take band class. It was mandatory.
Yeah.
And the thing is, like, so I would, like, and I, you know, I really enjoyed playing the drums, so I'd spend every day after school playing the drums, and my friends would play bass and guitar and stuff, and we'd just do it for hours while he would sit off and do his own thing. And he'd always tell us, like, oh, all you guys like to do is mentally masturbate. And we're like, what? We're like, you know, because we're just young, you know, teenagers, and we hear the word masturbate and we think it's so amazing, like, ah! But he's like, yeah, it's like when you just keep doing this, you keep wanting to do the same thing over and over again because it makes you feel good. Yeah.
Yeah, it makes sense actually.
Yeah.
What a wise teacher.
He was a nice man.
Yeah.
So you did it because you loved the sound of your own voice.
Yes.
But you also love to explore your feelings and.
I like to write them down, like just because I'm actually pretty like I think I'm an introvert, so I don't really like to talk about like my problems and my feelings to my parents or my friends. So what I do is to just write them down, like pen them down, my thoughts and.
So you keep all these journals. Is that what you do?
Yeah, I used to write them. Now I just like use my iPhone and just type
them.
notes.
And do these turn into songs? Do you reference this for songs, or does this just come out of inspiration and turn into songs?
If I do feel strongly for something like an episode in my life that happened, I will like I have some words that will come up from it, and I will try to turn the words into like melodies.
Well, wait, like, but are you a musician as well? Do you play any instruments?
I play the keyboard, piano.
Okay, so
Yeah.
what was it? The love of music that kind of prompted you to do that, or was it something that your parents like put you when you were small to do, or how did that happen?
I actually like knew that I really like music when I was a kid, so I asked my parents whether they could let me learn piano. So I went for piano classes.
How old were you then?
Piano classes, I was like in primary school, like primary three. So
Grade 3.
yeah.
You were already inspired by music you heard on the radio at that point?
So I heard a lot of, I think back then it was like Westlife.
Yeah, it would have been that whole entire In Sync and One Direction and.
I think Westlife and NSYNC, yeah.
Wait, didn't
Backstreet Boys.
Westlife they did a cover of a super famous old song,
Is it?
Elton John song, Uptown Girl, right? Did they do that?
Yeah, I think so.
Uptown Girl.
Yeah. So it was during that era that I started piano, and then singing was like in when I was when I was 16. Yeah, I wanted to find out from a teacher whether I was like singing correctly, like whether there are places that I can improve on. So I went for singing classes when I was 16. But all this were like my own like sort of request. Like my parents didn't ask me to do all that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So that you were pushed by inspiration.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, like my own one
Drive, your own.
Yeah.
And then you found your place in that. And if you weren't a musician, what would you have wanted to do, or what would you be doing?
Oh, I would be a newscaster. As in
Would you be telling the weather, or would you be like the daily news, or what would you be doing?
anything, like, because when I was young, I watched a lot of TV, and then like something that really like intrigues me was just watching the newscaster just talking nonstop and like just being so fluent in Mandarin, and I specifically wanted to be a Mandarin newscaster, and because of that,
Was there like a lady on the news that you watched that you thought was like so perfect, and you're like, oh my god, she's amazing?
probably I thought that, well, she.
Or was there a guy that you had a crush on? You're like, I want to do that when I grow up. Is that?
I think it's more. I think it's probably a lady's voice. Like I felt like it was like, oh, so nice to listen.
So elegant and beautiful. And
Yeah, and they always look so poised on TV and just like
Right.
so prim and proper. So, and because I wanted to be a Mandarin newscaster, so during my high school and university days, I actually studied like, okay. So besides like communications and new media, which I majored in university, I still did a minor in Chinese literature. Like,
Okay.
and because in Singapore, the Mandarin classes only last till secondary school. So after secondary school, the government says that you don't necessarily have to go for like Mandarin classes anymore. Yeah, but I actually still wanted to, because I thought that if I want to really understand the language and just be able to just do more with it, I should study more. Like,
Wait, so Mandarin is actually like, you have to take Mandarin inside of Singapore?
for the Chinese. So like, and let's say if you're
If
like,
you're, but if you're like an Indian person, you don't?
yeah, but you can choose to take like Indian.
Oh, in certain schools, you mean?
It's actually,
How do they break that up? Wait, this is really interesting because
Yeah.
this doesn't exist
Yeah.
in Canada this way.
So in Singapore, it's like, let's say you're in a primary school or a secondary school,
Yeah.
and it's like a mixed school with different races.
Yeah.
And then we'll have this class called the mother tongue class. So this mother tongue means like, if let's say I'm
And
Chinese.
they break people up by race then.
yeah. So
Really?
yeah. So
Wow.
I told my Taiwanese friends about this, and they were like, "Isn't this like even more like racist?"
Well, I mean, I don't know how to interpret it because
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
interesting. Okay, let's look at the positive. Let's try to see something positive about it.
Yeah.
Is that like maybe like, Singapore is trying to integrate people, all different types of people from different places, and still trying to give them, their like
Their
give
own-
them their identity,
Correct.
right? Like, and they're like, here's your language, your identity. This is who you are. But I guess in a certain way, like when your friends say that, they see the segregating aspect where it's
Yeah.
like taking people by what they look like and saying, you go into this classroom and you go into that classroom, and that's where we get. But I don't know. I don't know what's right or wrong anymore. I don't know what to do. Don't
But
ask me. What classroom would I go to?
I would go to.
I would go for lunch, right?
Yeah, I think for the Eurasian. Yeah, I'm serious. Like for the Eurasian friends, I think they don't have to go for mother tongue class because English itself is a separate like
Entity.
lesson. Yeah. So like during mother tongue, like the Indians will go for Tamil class, and then the Chinese will go for Mandarin classes.
Right.
And then
Well, Tamil is such a small part of Indian languages, though, too. So that's interesting.
yeah, but I remember like for my Indian friends, they specifically learn Tamil, and then for the Malay.
That's a southern language, too. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Tamil.
I never thought about that. Like, what about the northern?
Because maybe the thing is, maybe there's just such a large population. Because, like, in the South, you have, like, Tamil, you have, like, Malayalam, you have Ganata. There's one that sounds like Ganata. You have all these different Southern languages that are, not Hindi, not Punjab, that kind of stuff. So that's really interesting. That's interesting. But this is not the Indian language podcast, right?
This is not. So we do not know about that.
Right. Okay. How about teaching me some Chinese language? How about what would you do there? Give me something useful. So there's been people. So it was like Leo taught me how to say thank you in a deep appreciation. I think it was a band with us taught me how to swear.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so that already happened. So
okay.
That's
I would like to teach you some, I was saying Singlish.
Singlish, okay.
Singlish, like the Singlish slang. Have you been to Singapore?
I've been to Singapore 3 weeks ago, yeah.
Oh, okay. So do the Singapore friends talk to you with or they look at you and basically still try to speak proper English?
I guess so. I wouldn't know if they didn't. I can definitely hear the accent.
Yeah. So in Singapore, if you wanna sort of express the food is really nice, really superb, you would say shook.
This is shook.
Yeah, this is shook.
Okay, so that's like a terminology, right?
Yeah.
Instead of saying this is awesome or this is amazing, it's oh man, this is shook.
Yeah.
Or would you say just shook?
Yeah, you can say shook lah.
Shook lah.
Yeah, shook lah. Just with the la behind it.
Yeah, with the la, it's really Singaporean.
It's to just emphasize it how nice the food is.
Okay.
So if your friends bring
that's another thing Singaporean and Malaysian people always say to me. They always use the word nice.
Yeah.
When we talk, as a Canadian, when I talk about food, I never say nice.
So what would you like?
I'll be delicious.
Oh,
tasty.
Tasty.
Oh man, that was awesome. But I'd never say that was nice. That is it really is. I first heard that in Malaysia. I was in Kuala Lumpur for a while, and then I was on Borneo Island for a while, and I got stuck in Borneo Island for 4 months. It was very bad. But that was the first time I ever heard oh, here, try this noodle laksa or whatever. And it's very nice. And I'm like, it's very nice. What are you talking it's warm? What are you talking about?
I think it has got to do with the limited vocabulary.
No, maybe it's just the interpretation, right?
Oh, how? Because maybe in Chinese, 我们讲好吃 is how has a positive, a nice vibe.
Right,
yeah,
right.
So I think it's because in Singapore and Malaysia, when we speak in English, we still tend to sort of think about it in the way we speak Mandarin,
or other language, and then it gets passed across everybody else. Too,
yeah.
But I mean, so here's something I can say to that. If you go into Eastern Canada, people have a totally different English dialect.
Oh, okay.
So the thing is, I think it's just these things emerge in certain places, and then they become a part of the community, And I don't know, that's such a phenomenon because, depending where you are, it'll just be different, right? In the Eastern Canada, someone would be like, "Oh, that's deadly."
Yeah.
Right? It'd be if you said that to a Western Canadian, he'd be like, "What? Why do you talk like that?"
it's different.
Yeah, it's different. So you say it's nice. A Newfoundlander would say it's deadly.
Yeah. But the more Singaporean way will be to say it's shook.
It's shook, right.
Yeah.
These noodles are nice. They're shook.
Shook.
No, but it's way more, it's for an emphasis, yum. I love
yummy,
it.
Shook.
Okay, do you got any more?
This next one is actually in English, but it's a very strange expression. It says, die must try.
Die must try.
Yeah.
And does it literally mean DIE or DIY?
DIE. It means I think it's really just our way of expressing English, but in Mandarin kind of thinking. When we talk about die must try, it just means something is really, 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 really very nice. Very yummy.
It's very nice.
Die must try. So this is very shook. Die must try. And you must say it with our intonation. So in Singapore, when you say dinner, you don't say dinner. You say dinner.
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 And you say it in a very
very Barry, that's the accent.
Barry.
Barry.
Yeah.
Dina. Oh my God, you just extrapolated something right there. You just took it apart.
It's just the way we speak. I don't know.
The way we speak.
Yeah.
Right. It's the intonation.
The intonation. Yeah, so
Interesting.
die must try.
Die must try. Die must try. It's yo man, it's shook la.
It actually really sound like Singaporean now. Like the die must.
I am Singaporean. What are you talking about? Sorry. Okay, one more.
One more
For the people.
This one is also like, it means something like to ask if something is possible or not. So it's like can or not. Can or not. But
Can or not.
yeah, but you don't say it
To
so
be or not to be. That is the question. Right?
yeah, but you don't say it so perfectly. Not like
Oh.
can or not. It's like
Can or not.
can or not.
Oh, okay, like so direct, right?
Yeah. You're asking somebody like, do you want to go to this place? Like can or not.
Oh yeah, that's so direct.
Yeah.
Like, are you going to? Yes or no?
Yeah.
That must put women in such an awkward position when a man asks them out for a date, and they just like drive it right there, like can or not.
Yeah.
And then they're like, oh my God,
do you wanna
I don't
go?
know what to say.
So you can say can la.
Can la.
Can la.
Right. Or not la.
No la.
No la.
No la.
No la. And that's it, folks. Please continue to listen to the next parts or continue to the next episode. Please don't forget to hit subscribe and follow On the Rise. This is awesome.